Oh, man, I thought I'd seen them all. I've done a whole bunch of Rashad Richey videos because he just never ceases to provide me material. And this TED talk that he gave is a hoot. Oh my God. You're gonna thoroughly enjoy this. So sit back, grab the popcorn, and let's have some fun. So here at the start of the show, and this says independently organized. And you got to know that this was organized by Rashad Richey because he's a man of the world. He's a Renaissance man. He can do it all. He can do nuclear physics, he can do neuroscience, business, philosophy, but there's no stopping him. And producing videos must be in his wheelhouse as well. Now, you may be wondering, now, how do you know that Rashad Richey had anything to do with the production of this event? Well, if you look, independently is misspelled. Oh my God, Ted, you need some quality control there. So, yeah, that is pathetic. Guys, come on. On the opening splash page, you can't misspell words like that. This is supposed to be about education. All right, any rate, enough picking on Rashad Richey. Oh, no, that's not really quite true. There's plenty more picking on Rashad Richey coming up.
I'm doing my talk today on the motivational value of failure.
And there's no better expert to pick for that topic.
Can somebody just go ahead and demystify that word and shout, failure? Let's do it one more time. Failure!
Killing the word doesn't demystify it. And by the way, he's just riding the coattails of what was an edu-fad at that time. There was a whole big deal about how failure is good. And in fact, the word fail was an acronym for first attempt in learning, right? And so teachers were out there teaching their students that failing is good. I knew one teacher who even had awards given out to the biggest fails. So if a student got a terrible paper turned in, they got a prize. And I am not joking you. This was an edu-fad. Now, I don't know. I haven't heard much about this lately, but it was pretty much designed to piss off parents. And so teachers often, not all teachers, come on, there's just a small subset of teachers like to basically rankle parents. They enjoy the back and forth and the hostility and the conflict. And so teaching their kids that being a failure is really a good thing was one surefire way of doing that. So this is not creative whatsoever. In fact, this was just old news by the time he did his TED Talk.
That word is a feared word. It's a feared feeling. Nobody likes to be called that word.
You don't want to be watching this video because I'm going to be calling you a failure a lot. Oh, and by the way, I always used to say to people, well, failure is good. Then why do we try to avoid it? Why don't we just purposely design bridges that fail if failure is good? And obviously, failure is not good. However, how you respond to failure can be good. And so the response to failure is what you're supposed to be focusing on. But if you teach kids that, that's not going to rankle the parents. You got to teach them something that's real controversial, provoking, not thought-provoking, just provoking. And so fail is good was a big deal. And he's riding it because he has no idea what to talk about.
But I learned that there's something even more devastating than failure. It's never trying at all.
Oh, geez. It's better to try and fail than not try at all. Yeah, seriously, this is all you could come up with? How long has that been passed around? I think my grandpa taught me that one.
The number one question that I receive is this: Rashad, how do you do all of it? You see, when you do what you love to do, there's never a all of it moment.
Well, he must love to get fake degrees because he certainly is good at it. He spends a lot of time doing it. So they could ask me the question. They say he uses his PayPal. That's how he gets his degrees. See the other videos in this playlist here, and I'll show you all the fake degrees that he has accomplished, including the last one that he even decided not to publicize anymore because it was purely a diploma mill.
Right? But that is the number one question I get from radio to inboxes, my friends, my associates. How do you do it all? And I considered what all I do. So I'm going to give you a rundown of all I do. Not to brag, but just to give you some context, okay?
Oh yeah, not to brag, because if there's one thing that Rashad Richey hates, it's a braggart. Oh my God, he hates braggarts. He goes to parties and there's some guy talking long about how many degrees he has and how many jobs he has. And oh, Rashad Richey just hates it. Oh my God, a braggart like that doesn't give me the opportunity to tell everybody what I've done. Yeah, who in here believes that he's not going to brag? Holy shit.
So all I do is this. I have a radio show on News and Talk 1380 WAOK Monday through Friday. See some of y'all out here. I'm the political and social commentator for the People Station V103, the largest urban station in the United States of America. I'm the chief editor for Rolling Out Magazine, which we print in all 25 major markets throughout the country, and we are the largest free print urban publication in the country. Beyond that, I'm also a university professor. I'm finishing my second doctoral degree, so in 10 months, y'all pray for a brother that he has doctorate number 2.
Oh yeah, not to brag. Not to brag. God, I hate to see what he would be like if he was bragging. I mean, good grief, come on. He's a narcissist. That's all he's going to do, and that's all he did. Not to brag, but I'm going to tell you about all the degrees I have. And by the way, those of you who have been following videos know he doesn't have any of that stuff. He's paid for almost all of it.
Now, how did I get to that place? First of all, by the grace of God.
And PayPal.
You see, I would be lying to you if I said anything else first. First of all, by the grace of God. But there's a history connected to my current story that rarely gets talked about. And I want to talk to you about my actual history. And there came a time in my life when I realized that the disaster of my past was never a disaster at all, but it was simply preparing me for what was in front of my journey. How many of you have ever been criticized before? Everybody, right?
So this is like, how many of you here would like to make some money? And everybody at the timeshare meeting goes, me. Who in here has ever been criticized? Yeah, tough question.
Do we like criticism?
Well, I hope you do, because you're going to get a lot of it tonight.
Typically, no. But I learned this on the journey. Criticism is the price you pay for leadership. Oh, come on now. Criticism is the price you pay for leadership. And the day you are unwilling to be criticized is the day you are unfit to lead anybody.
Again, nothing he says here is profound. This is all hackneyed phrases that go back generations and generations.
Wear criticism like a badge of honor. What's the difference between leadership and influence? Well, leaders, good leaders, are always influential to the positive, but there can be bad leadership too that can influence the world to the negative. But one thing about influencers is that influencers have been proven, because in order to be an influencer, that means that you have, in fact, influenced somebody.
Hitler was an influencer. I don't know what he's trying to prove.
When I was around 10 years old, I was coming back home.
Oh, shit. He's going to tell us this story. He's probably told it a million times. And I'm telling you, he shoehorned this one in because he just can't stop telling the story. He loves it.
Traveling with my mother and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was driving, and I was in the back seat. We were coming from the grocery store, and there were groceries in the back seat, and I decided to go through the groceries, and I picked up Fig Newtons. Y'all remember Fig Newtons, right?
They still sell them.
And I started to eat them, and my mom's boyfriend was just in a bad mood. And he stopped the car and he looked in the back seat. He said, "Boy, who told you to go through them bags?" And I mumbled something. I don't remember what it was. I was 10 years old. But whatever I said made this brother angry. And he got out of the car, came to the back seat, opened the back door, took his fist, and beat me down.
And that's why he was a great leader, I guess. And by the way, he called you boy. I didn't know that was supposed to happen.
Now, I remember those moments like it was yesterday. The truth is, y'all, I remember it like it happened 1 minute ago.
Rashad, that's because you keep telling the story over and over again. Of course you remember it.
And as he was beating me and saying the words he was saying, "Who told you to go through my stuff?" I thought the most impactful memory would be his fist hitting my face, but it wasn't. The memory that stands in my mind today is in between his fist, me looking up at my mother and saying, "Mama, don't let this man hit me again."
Okay, so his mother is the good leader. Okay, good.
When I looked at her, she was powerless, y'all. She had the look of despair in her eyes, but she could not do anything. When he got finished, he
So much for her. Okay, it's not her.
threw me back in the back seat, closed the door, got in the driver's seat, and drove home. We were only about 5 minutes from the house. I already planned what I was going to do, y'all. Now, I'm a kid. I wish I could whoop his ass, but I couldn't. He was too big. So I strategized that as soon as we pull up to the house, I was going to jump out of the car, go into the house, lock the doors, and call 911.
Wait, you're going to call the police? Oh my God. Calling the police on a black man? That's just like signing a death warrant.
Yelling, "Help me, help me," when there's a conflict over a bicycle in the middle of the street and there's a young black male next to you, that could be a very dangerous situation for something that's basically a civil dispute.
I mean, I understand that you're pretty pissed off for hitting you, but I mean, having the police come over and execute him? I don't know, Rashad.
Well, that's exactly what I did. Jumped out of the car, went inside of the house, locked every door, and I called 911.
What I saw that alarmed me was the response to him, her screaming help like that, and pointing out, "This is dangerous. This gets young black men killed, a la Emmett Till."
And I remember when this operator came on the line, and I just started crying because I feel as if I found somebody I could talk to.
I need people to understand it's not hyperbole. This kind of thing gets black young men killed.
And the operator said, "Just calm down, young man. The police are on the way. Stay on the phone with me. Outside, my mother and her boyfriend are knocking down the door. Let us in." Well, the police finally got there. The operator told me I was safe. So I hung up the phone with her. I went to the door because I wanted to hear this cop lock this monster up. But the truth is, on the inside, I was conflicted because I had love for this brother.
Everybody is a brother.
He had never struck me before. I was fond of him. My father wasn't in the household. He was at least there temporarily. Well, as I'm listening to what's happening outside by pressing my ear against the door. I hear this cop, and it's obviously a white male voice.
Oh shit, he called a white cop in. That dude won't last 5 minutes with that white cop. Notice how important it is. Like that matters at all. And you're going to find out that it has no bearing on the story whatsoever. But we can only assume it's a white cop. He's just going to pull his gun out and execute his buddy. Oh, I'm sorry, his brother.
And he steps up and he says, "Mr. Commissioner, what seems to be the problem?" Did y'all hear me? I was too young to understand exactly what they meant, but I was old enough to know he wasn't going to jail.
Hey, why not? It's a white cop. I figured that the white cop would slap them handcuffs on your brother as fast as he could. Wait, this is not working out. What happened to the story that the white cops are always going to abuse any black person they encounter?
The police officer proceeded to have a conversation with both him and my mother. And the police officer said if I don't open the door, he was going to take me to jail. So I opened the door. I remember going straight to my room. I had a partial black eye, I had a busted lip. I went into my room. I didn't know I was depressed already, but that's exactly what I was. I went to sleep. I didn't want to wake up.
I was going to say that it must be the cop that's the great leader, but wrong color.